Well, this is a Bellular video about his Endwalker experience, so I want to see how it's been going for our friend Bellular. It does say spoiler safe. It does say spoiler safe here. So maybe some of you have watched it. Can you confirm? Can anyone who's watched this video confirm if this is indeed spoiler safe? I think he wouldn't write that unless it really was. I think it's okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, here we go.
Welcome back. Okay, right. First up, this video is spoiler safe.
Oh, did he get a longer beard? Was he always have such a big beard? Is this new?
Go near the comments, obviously. And
I swear, everybody that plays Hogwarts 14, their hair starts growing so much. It's crazy.
I do transition over to a few spoilery thoughts. There will be a clear warning in the video, as well as a pause.
Okay.
No timestamps are going to be containing spoilers either. Okay? So that's the situation. This is a spoiler-safe video.
Awesome.
And it's time for Endwalker First Impressions. I cannot believe we're here, because, but a short time ago, I was losing my mind over the end of A Realm Reborn. And we've come pretty far since then, haven't we?
We have.
It's been a hell of a journey. There is a hell of a lot to talk about here, and I'm not even nearly finished.
Yeah.
Endwalker, or the development of our game, The Pale Beyond, a single-player narrative RPG that you can actually wishlist on Steam right now.
He's making this
Smooth,
game.
eh? All right, let's go.
That's a pretty cool ad, actually, because it's for his own game that he's making. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Okay, we all knew this was coming, right? Didn't we? The team warned us in advance. Regardless, yes, the queue issues, as we all anticipated, sucked. And I think we're getting 7 days of free game time to compensate for it. Potentially more if issues persist. So, fair enough.
More?
Now, as for
At this point, I feel like we need more. Because, like I said, we're about 2 weeks into launch, and we're still having hours and hours and hours of queue. I mean, do you think we should get more time than the 7 days we already got?
Queues, I have found instant login at about 9 a.m., queues of around 2,000 to 3,000 at 11 a.m., and sometimes by the time it would just hit the afternoon, you're looking at 5,000.
Yeah.
And what's worse here, this is the bit that sucks, you can regularly be booted from the queue. I believe it's our...
Quick question. Is he on Light Data Center? Is he on my same data center? I think it's probably the same everywhere, though, with the times.
2002. Now, in some cases, that's because your own internet falls over. That happened to me once or twice. But often it actually is on their end, from what I can tell. Now, many people don't know that if you get booted from the game, if you go back in again quickly, the queue will save your place.
Yes.
Now, that is good, but because...
Actually, I made a meme about this the other day with the... Because this actually happened to me. I had a 10,000 person queue, and then it just dumped me out of the game. Anyway, sorry. Let's continue.
The queue for me often would go down on its own, even though an otherwise perfect internet connection. It does basically mean that you're tied to your computer for a few hours babying it. That's unfortunate, but it's something we can get over. Now, once I was actually in, at least on Zodiac, which is my my realm,
he's on my data center.
Smooth. Extremely smooth. No lag was experienced by me or any of the people I know.
Yeah.
The world did go down once on Friday, but bar that, I have had a very good, very stable time once I've actually gotten the game, and that has allowed the game to shine. So let's talk about it.
Maybe that's the reason for the login cap and like the cap on the number of people that can actually be in the game, so they can maintain the stability of the server. But it's in the 2 weeks since the game has been playable, I think Phoenix went down once. We had one Phoenix down. And they got it up
zones first.
Really quickly.
I've been to 3 plus the new hub in Charlene. So far, I mean, so good.
It's so
Charlene
good.
as a hub city, I just love it.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, it's FF14 Athens. We all knew it would be that. And man, I love it.
It's awesome.
I mean, it's cozy cafe. It's really lovely music. The visuals is just kind of idyllic. It's a...
The music starts out really lovely, and then you go through the story, and then the music it starts to hurt. It hurts. It hurts after.
Really great place to be. As simple as that, really. It's right up there with the other great cities in this game, and I think as much as the Limsa, Aetheryte Plaza probably can't be dethroned,
You're wrong.
Charlene's
You're
kind
wrong.
of coming up my favorite right now.
What are you talking
As for
about?
the others,
What are you talking about? Charlene is better than Limsa in every conceivable way. I think that the market board is at least as close, if not closer. There are, it's like, I feel like just from a role play perspective, like imagining myself in Charlene, I feel like it's probably cleaner than Limsa. Limsa probably is like stinky. It is got like so many, how can I put this? Exotic role players like doing who knows what on that tree. Like, can you imagine what that tree smells like? And you know the one I'm talking about.
it would be that. And man, I love it.
This is better.
It's cozy.
This is
cafe.
way better.
It's really lovely music. The visuals is just kind of idyllic. It's a really great place to be. As simple as that, really. It's right up there with the other great cities in this game, and I think as much as the Limsa, Aetheryte Plaza
What?
probably can't be dethroned,
I accidentally rewound it. I didn't mean to do that. Wet cat smell.
Charlene's kind of
It
coming up
does.
my favorite right now. As for the other zones, look, I'm going to talk about the first two. I'm not going to mention the name of the third, but the third's really good. Now, Labyrinthos and Razat Han are the first two zones. They're really solid. I think Labyrinthos sells itself on just like fantasy and spectacle. It's just an inherently cool thing that's going on there. And as for Razat Han, it does feel a bit more simply like just Square's take on India. Fairly straightforward, but it's got some particularly nice colors. It's got a really cool city, some really nice music. It's the sort of thing where I'd say these are all absolutely FF14 zones, so you pretty much know what you're getting into.
Honestly, my only complaint with Razat Han I think Charlene should not have a mountable area, but I think Razat Han, I'm a little disappointed that there's not even a little section where you could mount up.
Don't expect any crazy changes
So you can
over
show
the
off
sorts
your
of things
mount.
you've been used to, but they're all really great zones, great additions so far. Now, all of this goes for the third zone, especially so. It is just brilliant. And so far, for me, they are on track for an incredible showing
Third
insofar as this game's areas go.
Third zone?
Next, though, spoiler-free story thoughts. So
Okay.
this one's safe to listen to.
Other thing about Labyrinthos that comes to mind, one thing that makes Labyrinthos really good is the trolls in it that look like big doggos. They're really cute with like their little noses, little snoot. Have you seen that? Let me try to find a picture.
Is the story good? No. Is it brilliant? Yes. I've just finished the third zone.
Wait a second. I almost had a meltdown. I'm like, whoa, what did you just say?
And
Okay,
I'm
it's
just
fine.
sitting on the fourth. And if you're ahead of me, then you're going to know what I've just experienced. So let me tell you, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
It is all you know they can already do, but with high points that feel especially high, especially considering I'm level 84. There are some bits of slower pace as well, which, maybe a little bit slow within some of the first two zones, but that was bookended by truly incredible content. So for me, I felt like I've had a really strong, almost a end of a patch-like high point in and around level 84, and I'm not going to say anything more about it other than it was just one of those moments where you're like, holy shit, this is so good. Now, I will say that our first forays into Labyrinthos and Razat Han, they were a little bit slow in terms of their pacing, but for me, between the incredibly strong opening and the hub city introduction, which I'm glad that it was as long as it was, just lots of really nice character stuff. And then, of course, with all of Zone 3, this team is just firing on all cylinders. Seriously, Zone 3 is just brilliant.
I think looking back on this, now that hindsight is 2020, and remembering going into Labyrinthos, going into Razat Han, there were parts that at the time I felt like were slow, but now in retrospect, I think I do appreciate them more, because about halfway through your story experience, you are going to be basically stabbed in the heart with like a crystal dagger, and they don't pull that dagger out. That dagger just goes deeper and deeper, and it twists and twists until you don't have anything left by the time you're done with the story. So you'll look back on like, oh, how cute that we had like seasickness, kind of. Like you'll look back on that and you'll be like, oh, that was so nice. That was like so chill. You'll look back on the chill moments where things were more calm, and maybe like almost wistfully remember those times when things were simpler.
And I can't believe I'm only level 84. So, like, I've got zero fears that this expansion will represent a move back from the high bar of Shadowbringers. For me, so far, bar a
Yeah, he's recording this video before he gets stabbed in the heart with the story that happens about midway point. So he hasn't quite got there yet. So I wonder how he's doing. It's funny. We talked about it on the stream yesterday. Every time somebody comes in the chat and says, "I finished the Endwalker story," my reaction is to be like, "Are you all right? Like, how are you holding up? You okay?"
Two little slow spots. The pacing has been great. The character work, which is of course the heart of Endwalker, is absolutely fantastic and is there in spades.
Yeah.
Their treatment of the lore continues to be excellent. The lore is just so damn interesting, and even though it, as you'll know from Shadowbringers, can get, bit cosmic, bit spooky, all of that, it's all done in a way that is so tied to your character and the immediate cast of characters that all feels reasonable. And that's why it really works. There's just, in character moments, there's just so many moments in this where you'll feel so close to the cast. They've really nailed the story so far. Next, a bit of an odd topic, but I really wanted to talk about like cutscenes and their craft. From the get-go, you get a sense that the production values are really high. Like, the camera work continues to be tight, maybe a bit tighter than it was in Shadowbringers, which already was great.
And
it's that thing. I think it's really from like Stormblood onwards that Heavensward, great, of course, but from Stormblood onwards, you sort of see that their production values, their use of the camera, it all just gets better and better and better and better. And by this stage, they truly have just transcended it being an MMORPG. So between the camera work being excellent, the voice acting being excellent, the sound design being excellent, it's just an incredible
because this is a spoiler-free section, I'm not going to say anything spoilery, but what I would say is there were definitely some scenes that reminded me of some memorable Shadowbringers cutscenes. And I won't ever forget those. No.
Experience, and you can really see this team grow. To the point where, for a Heavensward spoiler, I'd really wonder what the Horshfont scene would have been like with some of their more modern techniques. It is an excellent scene, but obviously they have advanced their craft since.
True.
So they're the reigning king, and Endwalker solidifies that.
King.
From the scene where you embark on your journey to where I am now,
MMO.
This game has felt so damn cinematic. It has not felt like it's being held back by being an MMO.
Oh, the other thing that I wanted to add is that probably my only little gripe about going through the story, and I don't know if this is entirely a gripe, but in the beginning, I had kind of wished that there was a bit more combat interspersed between a lot of these story quests, because I felt like it took a while to finally get into a lot of combat, and that's really minor because I just felt like they had so much setup to do, and there was a lot of time spent on setup that did pay off. So maybe there wasn't time for it, but I think I was just on Reaper, this new job, and I was really anxious to play it, so I wanted more opportunities to do so.
There's fewer rougher edges. There's more polish. Just their storytelling technique is excellent. And I so look forward to those warnings. When they give you a warning where it says, there's some long cutscenes coming up.
Oh, yeah.
That's when it's time to get hyped.
That's the best.
Another new system then, the NPC following system. It's totally worth it. It means more immersive quests.
It's such a funny thing for him to bring up. I don't think I've ever heard anyone mention that before, but it's true. Like, anytime you're in the story and you get that little pop-up that's like, hey, I hope you have set aside a whole lot of time to go through all these cutscenes in order. And I'm like, I'm like, oh, I have my blankie and I have my big cup of tea and I'm ready to do this. Like, it's super exciting.
Now, I do wish that the NPCs that follow you would untether a little bit, just a little bit less when you're mounted.
Oh my god.
Now, this is a system that mostly just works where you talk to an NPC.
I'm not going to be specific about this, but if you were there, you know, like, you remember how often I left behind Alice and Alphino, and I just did not learn from this mistake.
See, you talk to them again, then they follow you, and then zones just like appear, right? And
I'm
when
the
you walk into
worst.
that zone, you unlock some dialogue. It's pretty damn simple, really, and it just helps it be a bit more immersive. It gives the team more opportunities for dialogue. That's all it needs, so mission accomplished. It's not groundbreaking. It's not like it massively enhances the gameplay thus far for me, but it gives them more ways to tell their story, and ultimately, that is the job of this system, so its job has been accomplished.
I think that the system with NPCs following you was amazing addition, because I think it does in MMOs in general often get a little bit tiresome when every single time you get a quest, the guy's like, oh, well, I would go myself, but I have guard duty. Or, oh, I would go myself, but I took an arrow to the knee. Or, oh, I would go myself, but those people don't like me very much. Or, I'm shy. Like, there's a million different excuses for why they can't go. And it was so refreshing when they're like, okay, well, I'm coming with you. Like, why wouldn't I come with you? Like, I need your help.
I want to talk about content next. I've done 2 dungeons, one with the trust system and one with other players. And I'd say, yeah,
this
the
is what.
dungeons
Wait, oh no, we're still spoiler free. Okay.
continue to be fantastic. I can't give you super in-depth thoughts. I'll just say, while going through them, I had a good time. I enjoyed the bosses. I enjoyed looking at the bosses, trying to intuit what the hell the bosses were actually doing.
How about the boss
I
music?
will say, the footage is probably pretty bad. I was not super well slept, and I was also readjusting to a retimed ninja while paying attention to new fights while tired, so, you know, iffy gameplay, but I muddled through. Obviously,
hey, if you didn't say anything, no one would notice. But now that you've mentioned it, people are like, oh, yeah, pretty scrub.
Spoilers
ninja.
here. All that I will basically
Don't
say
tell
is
people.
I believe that the dungeon design is a continuation of the fantastic trend in dungeon quality that we saw with, for me particularly, you know, really Stormblood onwards, perhaps later Stormblood onwards. I've just really enjoyed the dungeons especially, and that's continuing here.
Yeah, I don't think he's gotten to my favorite dungeon in the world yet. It's not there yet. Best dungeon ever is in this expansion.
Okay, little sidebar. Quality of life things. There's 2 things I want to talk about. Number 1, the new ground targeting settings. Turn them on, and if you're a ninja, you know, I've forgotten its name, the dash ability you've got. It just feels so much nicer with the new ground
The
targeting settings. So
Shukuchi?
I think a lot of jobs will really
Right?
appreciate that. I'm very glad they've added it. Also, the Aethernet UI. I know what Yoshi P was saying when he kind of spoiled himself playing the dev build of Endwalker and then going back to back to Shadowbringers and dealing with the old Aethernet UI.
Yeah,
the new one
it's so much
is just
better.
infinitely better. It's really great.
I hope
Okay.
it does make it easier for new players to navigate the towns, because I've asked in the past to the community, like, what is one of the hardest things that you've dealt with as a new player? And so many people say, oh, navigating Limsa or navigating Ul'dah. So I hope that
That
helps.
is the end of my spoiler-free remarks on Endwalker so far. If you want a basic takeaway, it is this. There's a little bit of slow pacing in 2 of the initial zones. The story overall is fantastic. The high points have been
Bellular.
extremely engaging. I have been glued to my screen.
Level
through,
84
really
here.
Just been glued to my screen, and I cannot wait to see where it goes next. So right now, I'm feeling very positive, very happy. And with that said,
You can tell how chipper he is, how positive and happy he feels because of what level he is and how far he is through the story. Because it's like, oh, sweet summer child. Look at what a good time you're having. But I wonder how the tone will be different in the next video about Endwalker when he's finally finished all of it. I think he might be looking back on his tone in this video and feeling like, I was so different then. I was so young then. Because that's how I feel remembering when I started. Like, I feel like I aged 100 years in the time since I started the story. Oh, man. Man. What a journey. What a journey. Well, I wonder how high level he is now. That's the question. Well, I guess I'm just going to stay tuned to his channel and wait for the next video about it. But, God. I've experienced actual, real, physical feelings of having my heart broken. Like, I felt a heaviness in my chest the minute that I woke up in the morning for like 2 or 3 solid days after I finished the Endwalker. And the only reason that I'm like regaining my chipperness now is because I am on heavy, heavy copium. And I'm saying to myself that, well, the raid story's coming really soon. And that's going to make everything okay. That's going to make everything better. So that's where I'm at. And I just can't wait for Bellular. I cannot wait for you to get on my level here. So be eagerly anticipating the next video. This was really enjoyable. I'm not going to watch the second part. We'll put a link in the chat for people that want to maybe drop a like here. Please do that. I will. And we'll stay tuned closely for how he's doing in a few days.